我会口急，很紧张。现场，现场参加 Meet Taipei 的来宾，10分钟后在 Pink Stage 现场最大的舞台有我们的大会论坛，议程内容有台湾微软、VoiceTube、CloudMile、云象科技等讲者将为我们分享5G 加 AI 等相关内容。活动即将开始，欢迎尽速入座，谢谢。 我先5分钟停。现场参加 Meet Taipei 的来宾，我们的大会论坛将在3分钟之后开始。欢迎来到 Pin Stage 现场最大的舞台。本次大会论坛下午的议程有台湾微软、VoiceTube、CloudMile、云象科技等讲者将为我们分享5G 加 AI 等相关内容，欢迎立即前往。各位来宾你好，欢迎来到 Meet Taipei 大会论坛。下午的论坛议程现在就要开始了。那我们先欢迎我们本次论坛的主持人，数位时代总主笔王志仁上台。
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Meet Taipei Startup Forum, the afternoon session. Earlier this morning, we had 4 speeches that share their views on the COVID-19 era, how the startup community deal with the problem, difficulties, and thrive. In this afternoon, we'll have 4 different speeches, so we'll continue to explore the possibilities and opportunities in the post-COVID-19 era. 我们今天下午的部分，我们仍旧会有4场演讲。那跟上午类似，就是我们今天上午有4场不同的这个领域分享他们对于 在后疫情时期的整个新创圈的一些新的动作和机会。那今天下午呢，我们会继续在这个领域里面跟大家做新的分享。那特别是说，在 AI 跟5G 的这2个领域方面，我们会有3个案例跟大家来做业者实际上的一个第一手经验的一个交流。OK。那我想就是说，在开始我们的这个下午的论场之前，我想先介绍，就是我们下午第一场的讲者是来自 Microsoft 微软。那我不晓得大家还记得吗？我们今天上午的第4场演讲是酷基科技来自宏基集团，对不对？宏基集团是1976年，那我们接下来要上台这一家微软公司是再早一年，1975年。OK。那从1975年到现在，有经过45年的时间，但是我们看到微软公司其实不断的在软体在应用的部分持续的创新，从过去的 PC 时代到现在 Internet 的时代，到接下来还有很多新的智能应用的部分，他们都在持续过去做创新。那目前呢，跟很多的新创有很多的连结。那我想也是因为这样的动能，保持了微软目前还是在科技领域里面全世界市值前2大的企业之一。那我想在这一块领域，我本身也有一些过去跟他们交流的经验。那我想 Microsoft 这个公司不只在产品部分持续的投入，那在研究特别是早期研究的部分，他们发力也很深。以我个人经验就是说，在微软的北京亚洲研究院的4任的院长，我刚好都有机会认识也采访，从一开始的李开复，到张雅琴，到沈向阳，到现在洪小文。那所以我想说，今天很难得的机会，我们请到微软的代表来跟我们交流，就是首先当然是关于微软本身自己的这个创新新创的一些经验，以及就是他们目前跟整个新创圈，特别在加速器平台这一块的一些连结。那接下来呢，就让我们来掌声欢迎台湾微软专家技术部总经理及微软新创加速器的执行长胡德明 Peter 来跟我们分享他所看到 AI 跟5G 的新的发展的机遇。让我们掌声欢迎 Peter， 谢谢。
Yeah， 谢谢 ，Thank you very much。So thank you 社长主笔然后各位的来宾，This is Peter Koo. I'm General Manager of Solution and Technical Unit. And I also led Microsoft for Startups Taipei. So this is an organization, we leverage the whole advantage and the competency of Microsoft to help the startup team to win more projects from enterprises. So that's our mission, and that's our ambition and the passion. So frankly, I feel very honored to be invited to give you everybody have a quick understanding about what's the coming opportunity of AIoT and especially 5G. So the first part, so maybe that's just a quick recap. So why 5G and the AIoT is very meaningful for enterprises and for every startups. Any of you want to do business from the commercial segmentation. So you can see, I think that the 5G area is a joint advantage with CT plus IT. So CT, which means communication technology, and the IT, which means information technology. And if we plus another OT, operational technology, so the 3T, the triangle, will drive more powerful synergy and more diversity opportunity than ever before. So regards to the 5G, so maybe there are two opportunities we everybody discussed. The first is about a public network, 5G 的公网啊。Okay, so given the physical limitation, so the base station in 5G will more than 4G. 5G 的基地台会比 4G 更多，因为它的物理特性、它的覆盖范围，所以其实电信公司为了 5G， 它要布更多的基地台，才能让有更多的覆盖。And the other side we discuss about is private network. 我们一般讲企业专网。The private network is specific for enterprise internal. Maybe the objective is to replace their Wi-Fi. 所以 WiFi 过去的场域很可能会被5G 取代掉，但不会有人为了5G 而用5G，一定是有一些 solid 的 value 才会 trigger 整个 industry 开始做这样的讨论。And the other insight I would like to share to you is, you know, the Chunghwa Telecom, Firestone Telecom, and the Taiwan大哥大. So all the telecom players, they invest just for the 5G, the band, okay, the franchise fee. So total 1200亿新台币. So 没有人在这里开玩笑，已经1200亿压上去了。So that's another insight I just want to let you know. So businessman has already made the decision. This is a big bet for whole Taiwan, the whole industry innovation, and I believe that would be another big bet for every of you. So why private network is very important? So of course there are many documentation and tell you. So this is a very simple introduction, just let you catch up. So why a 5G private network is matter? So what is and why you should take care of that, and how we leverage the technology and the business perspective, and where to deploy. So I don't want to go through every detail of the technical background, and just for your understanding, so if you have more interested, you can deep dive each of the segment offline. So I jump faster given I want to pay more focus about the industry insight. So you can see, so by 5G, empowered by 5G technology, so we will impact manufacturing, retail, healthcare, of course military, government education, and the financial services. I especially want to point out, so the media and the telecom, that would be the first. If you want to go to see the end customer scenario, many customer scenario around the media, the new user experience, 3D, mixed reality, and the manufacturing, of course, given the 5G will replace the Wi-Fi. So frankly, there are so many concerns around Wi-Fi. 如果你的无人车进了电梯 ，Wi-Fi 收不到；如果你的 Wi-Fi 很容易被干扰，所以事实上 Wi-Fi is not a very good idea to deploy in manufacturing to drive the whole connected facility. So 5G, so far, that's become a consensus. So 5G is a very important milestone if we want to go to这个 IT 4.0 工业制造。And so in transportation, so 5G is another very big opportunity. So that's why every government, city government, invests for 智慧路灯. So given 智慧路灯, that would be a foundation to connect with vehicle. So we leverage the 5G to make every vehicle connect to each other, connect to information, transaction in time by 智慧路灯. So maybe that's one of the very important, the foundational facility. So, regards to the media, so that's one of the strategic we made in maybe a couple months before. So we have a global strategic alliance with KKBox. So we introduced KKBox to Japan, to United States, and Microsoft also consider we have more close relationship from capital perspective. So that's one typical case, so we look at. So if we have media asset, and we have a new user scenario, and we have the new technology ready, so maybe we can, the new value to enrich everybody's entertainment life. So back to the manufacturing, so I list down, 我列了一些就是在 工业制造里面的一些场景，它会跟5G、跟 AIoT 非常密切关联的。So in manufacturing, especially the post-COVID-19, so-called new normal, COVID-19 已经让大家回不去了，而且 So frankly, I believe many foreign friends, you will feel, oh, Taiwanese is very lucky. So everybody sit here, walk around there, have catering, charting without mask. Yeah, but we don't forget, many our customers around the world, they still suffered by COVID-19. So it impacted a lot to our domestic manufacturing giants. 我们出货出不了，我们这些工业工厂要出货的时候，工具机送到国外去要验货。过去是人要飞过去，现在人飞不过去了。今天你怎么验货？我们卖了这么多的工具，这么多的生产机器到国外 ，if the machine out of order. So who can help to fix that? So given you guys cannot fly out to other countries to support in the front line, so a lot of concerns still happen. So I'm very, it is very fortunate you cannot feel the suffer, but that's the real problem around the 竹科、中科 around the 沙鹿、金属工业园区、精密扣件制造 that's still a very big problem. So let's talk about digital trends. So this is the other very sexy opportunity area. So given the IoT, so Taiwan, we have already deployed the IoT very common. So every manufacturers, they all have IoT sensors with their 生产线的机台 and they collect a lot of data. And I tell you, so by the 5G, the data will more and more flood in. And the picture, it is not the low resolution. It 不再是1024x768, not the low resolution. So people consider to have 2K or 4K, and not only image, but streaming. So those huge data, it causes another problem is, so how we acknowledge the inside of the data. So we need to reform the data into a visualized format. 我们要让这些数据可视化，让这个机台、让这个产线都要具备相当的可视化，让我们看得见，而不会只是一堆 a lot of the raw data. So we cannot do anything, and I have no idea what's happening, and even I have no idea how to predict what will happen. And so given the 5G, so given the innovation of the mixed reality technology, so people consider, okay, so if we have some devices with mixed reality functions, and we have the high quality, the connection for remote communication. So maybe we can do something help to the first issue I just mentioned. 如果今天有这么厉害的 5G 的这种远端这种视讯跟互动的能力，那我是不是就能够有更好的体验，帮助我在国外去解决这些国外的这些维修的这些问题？ And so the face recognition, frankly, it is already very popular. So the opportunity space here is we consider how to leverage the face recognition, the similar technology, to explore more challenge space in the manufacturing. For example, 我今天如果能够辨识你的脸孔，我今天能够辨识你的性别，我能不能辨识你有没有戴安全帽？ So even more, so we can identify the gesture. So 当作业员在取料的时候，是不是就会，你取的料不对 ，so 我就不用等你到最后 QA 的这个东西都做出来之后，再告诉你哦，这个东西是做错了，所以他要认列成损失。所以在这种场景 scenario, so that's why I emphasize the word scenario. So before we consider the technology, we need to figure out what scenario is deserved to be invested, is deserved to be innovated. And those innovation space, I believe, that's all the opportunity for startups. So not only the four scenario I just introduced. So you still can see a lot of area I listed here. So every the scenario, 他们都还没有被满足，他们都还是我 day in day out communication with those high-tech manufacturing customers. We still look for better solutions. We still look for better technology to try to improve the current workaround. So for example, as a product services, we still think about how to leverage AI for further cost down. So I believe every of you has already aware that the recent, the big news, the RCEP has already been signed. So it will impact Taiwan for sure. For example, 关税 tax. So 制造业你们都听到保三保四，对不对？ The profit may be only 3% to 4%. So if a 5% the tax increase or decrease, they will eat more the profit. So all the manufacturing, they are considered how to further cost down by AI, by 5G, by the new technology. So, and the last thing is about the supply chain. So that's another big challenge because 你们都听过锻炼这个字。So Taiwan, we cannot sell everything to Taiwan internal only. So for Taiwan, the international trade is our most critical thing. It is about life and death. So how to predict the supply chain, the shipping, logistic, and the 原物料, the raw material import. So that's still very important about how we sustain the regulation, the normalization of the manufacturing. So besides the manufacturing, so I love to mention about the financial. So, and I also believe you had already heard the 纯网银, the pure network banking. So the government has already released 3 licenses. So 这些纯网银现在都进入到第2阶段，大概就年底。纯网银有一个特色，每一家纯网银只能做1家分行。So that's why they need to call internet company, because the only opportunity for them to survive is to dominate your cell phone, to make your cell phone as their branch bank. So the bank is not a bank. The bank should be transformed to become banking services. 银行不能再是一个分行，不能再让你去排队，而是银行要变成是一个金融服务，而你们的手机就是它的分行。有人在手机上花的时间会比在 PC 上面花的还少吗？没有，现在大家都在手机上花这么多时间。So that's totally user experience. And banking as a platform, that's 所有的纯网银全部都会追求这件事情。And the API. Given we need to dominate your cell phone, according to the experience from other countries, from international grade 6 experience, so we need to have an open banking ecosystem. So that would be another very huge opportunity for startups. So if you have some financial services and to connect with current financial holding, the API network, and you will belong to the value chain. 但这件事情现在在台湾容不容易呢？其实不容易。为什么？因为我们传统的银行现在还是可能用甲方乙方的观念在做金融服务，在做这些的讨论。所以政府在这个地方也在做大量的一个调整，怎么样把这种甲方乙方的概念，然后呢改造成为是能够 accommodate 这个在 Internet banking 上面的一个 Open banking 的这些 structure. So maybe you have already heard the 政治大学Zhenji University. So they have already identified to try to have a standard, try to have a certification to identify the very good startups as a TSP, certified TSP. And that will be the first step. We convince the government. So try to have a diversity worker one to fulfill the API, the open banking needs. So where the current financial holdings? So Taiwan, we have a very, very famous, the financial holdings, the giant. So where they want to go? Go to smart, okay, to over the immerse the experience. And that's all the trade, the innovation path. So I mean, not only 纯网银, for traditional, the financial holdings, they have a lot of money and they invest a lot every year. And they also want to transform, to compete with the future, the new situation and the new market landscape. So I also listed some scenario. Frankly, I believe the new scenario will more than this. I count on you to have some new ideas more than this. So, but from my humble opinion, so those scenarios, our financial holding giants work on that day by day, day in, day out, and still in the progress of improvement. So if any of you have very good solution around this scenario, I love to introduce to customers, try to, to win a real project from them. So the third space I want to mention is about retail. Taiwan, we have Asia number one, the numbers of convenience store. Yeah. But I want to tell you, the innovation in this segment is very limited. Just a couple months ago, I still heard one of the very key person, okay, from the retail business, they told me, Peter, I don't believe it. The food delivery service will succeed in Taiwan. I say, why? So, our convenience store is very convenient. Peter, so 你家楼下有没有便利商店？我说我有，我家楼下便利商店。那你为什么还要想去更多付更多的钱，然后呢，去做这个在 APP 上面去订购美食？They don't believe it, but I think they just focus on distance, but they forget about the choice. People would love to pay more money to get more choice. But for traditional, the convenience store, the player, they don't believe in that. 人们会愿意付更多的钱，只因为更多的选择，而不愿意让便利商店来选择我们的选择。So you still can see in Taiwan, so people don't believe in innovation, but the people follow innovation very fast. 蛋挞效应，台湾不会第一个做蛋挞，但是一旦蛋挞受欢迎，就每个人都做蛋挞。但是在新创的世界里面非常现实。That's what I learned from my 10-year working experience in China. 互联网的世界只有第一，没有第二。第二是名不见经传的，第二是 loser。很少的场合可能会有第二，大部分只会有唯一的那一家。So in retail, you can see a lot of challenges. That's also the area people feel. 他们觉得没有被满足 they feel don't satisfy. Yep. And so I believe we just finished 百货公司周年庆 right? That's the most thing I personally I feel very stupid. So why, 为什么我会有这个感觉？因为我们公司在那个百货公司的楼上，所以一旦周年庆我很清楚，因为我车子就停不进去，然后我就要摇下车窗说我有固定车位，他们才放我进去。So I still cannot understand. So 为什么人们不愿意说在家里在网络上，然后有良好的评价，然后我知道我花什么钱， 不小心手滑，然后就买了一堆东西。于是到11月11号的晚上，我就睡觉，睡觉前然后 check in， 然后呢开始第二天、第三天我就等着东西送货到我家里，然后我必须要花那个时间一整天。然后呢，可能带着我的家人，然后去看没有我的 size 的衣服，然后逛了一整天，觉得很 frustrated， 然后于是我做完我的周年庆。这可能是一种台湾人喜欢的仪式感。我说实话，我不太确定。但是我确定的一件事情是，一旦人们有更好的体验，他们就不会再回去了。这点我千真万确的相信。So in the future, the retail, the trend in Taiwan, so to leverage the IoT, to leverage the machine learning, to leverage the automate the supply chain, the logistic operation, is a real trend. For example, if any of you have experienced to have a part-time job in convenience store, so I believe 你一定有那个经验，就是把那个不要的生鲜食品丢掉这件事情，因为它过期了，你必须丢掉，否则客户买到过期的食品，他会很生气，对不对？打掉的这些生鲜食品都是什么？都是成本。怎么节省 ？I don't know。可是如果你能够用 AI 去预测每一家生鲜食品的销售量，甚至再有一些很好的服务，能够让便利商店周围的人知道说，未来下面的1个小时，今天会过期的产品会3折卖，多少你收回来一些很棒的成本。我们有太多的 innovation。我不知道为什么还没有发生。好 ，So given the mobile age has already come, 5G will make you to pay more and more time on your cell phone. So how to have a balance between the online experience and the offline experience? That's also become a new challenge and a new opportunity for retail industry. Yeah. 而这件事情事实上在中国已经经历过了，就是说线下的门店跟线上怎么用微信的这个跟淘宝跟京东，然后怎么做线上线下的连接。Frankly, we have a lot of things that we can learn from other area, other countries, other market, to help us to have more powerful and sexy retail experience. So the last thing is, from technology perspective, so we have already prepared the whole technology stack for you based on cloud, based on IT. So this is the Microsoft IoT Service Architect. And just to let you know, it is not about the technology issue. It is about your creative issue and the business model issue. So how to leverage those technology to realize your business, your value. And the next, so once IoT and the 5G combine together, you will need more and more data, and then you need to handle those data. 如果你今天收了这堆数据，你只会备份还原这些数据，对你一点意义都没有。所以你要怎么样能够去 utilize 这些 data? I don't want to drill down every technology terms. I just let you know. So from the data collection to data analytics and to data machine learning model and the data science area, and to help you from the analytics to become predictable model. So that's the whole technology is ready. Again, it still needs your innovation, your capability to handle those technical stake and to realize your value. The last is about the security. Once you collect more and more data, more and more valuable data, the other challenge will reach you is about hacker. OK, 我黑你最容易了，因为你都帮我把数据收集起来了。So that will become another challenge to convince your enterprise customer, hey, although I'm startups, but I'm secure. I understand what's cybersecurity. And I will protect the data from you very carefully. And I deliver the value, I promise. 但这件事情容不容易？非常不容易。AIoT 加上5G，它的价值链太长了。这是为什么大家想做 不容易做好的原因。即使在 Microsoft， 我们都是好几个部门来 cover。你 AIoT 的整个价值链，从你的 chip 的 level 到 device 的 level， 到你怎么把数据收上来，到你今天把这些数据呢跟你的 middleware 的 application 去做整合，到整合出来的这些结果，进一步跟用户端的这些 LOB 的 system 去做 integrate。同时，你还必须要有分析的能力，然后呢，结合它的 business model， 找到你对的商业模式。我没有要吓你，我只告诉你说这件事情它应该是被这么做的。So that's in the last 2 minutes I want to mention about. Maybe that's the only one commercial. 这是唯一的广告了。But I want to let you know, to win the opportunity from enterprise, it is not an easy way. 为什么？因为企业不相信你。By default, enterprise 就不相信新创。我必须这么说。为什么？因为在企业里面，大家都想求 safe、求安全、求 de-risk。新创它有3个东西它concern。第一个concern，新创我不知道你能撑多久。国发会4000多家的经验里面，4000多家的 profile 里面 ，average 是2年，但是没有一个重要的领导干部在企业里面只想做2年。我还有1分半哈，不好意思。然后呢，再来第二个是你的 technology， 你是不是 secure？ 你是一个 prototype， 还是你能陪我撑过我的双11？好，第3个，你不知道怎么跟我讲话。Maybe you are well trained by other incubator。我们都知道怎么跟这个invest 创投，我们怎么知道跟他去 talk？ 但是 I must to tell you，enterprise guys they don't care about your future. They only care about what value you can deliver right now. So you need to have a total different pitch style while you visit enterprise, the CEO, CIO, COO. You need to speak their language instead of your own dream. 你是要去做生意的，你不是要去募资的。好 ，So that's a very, very important difference. I would like to remind you. So Microsoft Startup Accelerator.The only mission we help you to become enterprise ready. 我们希望让新创不要像新创，我们希望让新创上场的时候，就要像是企业所相信的，他们所习惯的，他们所日常在合作的 business partner， 你才有更好的机会去拿到真正这些上市公司的这些大的案子，让他们愿意给你一个时间，让你去证明你的能力是不是能够解决他们的问题。So the last page. So 到现在 we already incubate 33 startups teams, and we help them to collect 3亿8千万的创投的 funding, not from Microsoft, but from our 我们的风险投资的 partner. But the most important thing is we help those startups to get 61 projects from big enterprises with total 5亿3千万的机会金额。So， 如果你问微软新创教育在做什么，这是我们唯一最会的事情，就是第一个把你变成 enterprise ready， 第二个跟我们一起打仗，去从大企业拿到你要的案子，拿到你要的钱，然后我们一起在5G 加 AIoT 的世界一起成功。谢谢各位 ，Thank you。
谢谢 Peter。谢谢 Peter 为我们带来下午第一场很精彩这个演讲，我想他在介绍 Microsoft 做的事情之外，其实也帮我们分享了很多现在所看到一些行业的变化。那的确，我想5G 跟 AIoT 所带来的很多新的现在的冲击，我们现在看到，当然将来肯定会有新的行业产生，但是在那个之前，正在发生的很多就是说对现有这些企业的冲击。那我想从他刚才前半段所分享的一些包含制造业的现场，包含他刚才提到银行，也让我想到是说，我们这几年很流行一个所谓4.0的讲法，就前面有工业4.0，现在说银行4.0哦。那什么叫工业4.0？就是说1.0时代是最早期蒸汽化的时代，第2.0电气化的时代，第3.0是所谓自动化的时代，4.0是所谓智能化的时代，这只有在所谓制造业工厂。那所以银行4.0其实也有分，就是1.0就是实体银行，2.0有 ATM， 3.0是网络银行，4.0所谓将来银行就是在任何地方都会发生，所以那个 slogan 叫做 Always Banking 那个叫 Banking Everywhere, Never at a Bank， 就是你其实不管在什么地方都在做金融操作，但就是不在银行里面做。那其实像这样的一个4.0的变化，其实在我想目前的所有行业几乎都会经历过这样的一个变化。那重点就在于说，能不能从3.0过渡到4.0？那不只在制造行业，不只在金融行业，我想其实包含在广义的教育行业、医疗、零售，包含旅游，其实将来都会碰到类似这个情况哦。那所以我想就是说，从刚才 Peter 这个介绍里面，其实很重要一点是，这一些行业在经历这个变化，也就是我们所谓的数位转型哦。那数位转型里面，它其实需要很多的协助跟帮忙。那这个为新创的公司带来很多新的可能性。我想我们今天早上也提到过这一点。那所以说，在这个部分的话，就是说，所谓不管是早上 PwC 的Violet 所提到的 T to B to C， 或者刚才 Peter 这边所介绍的一个针对这个to B 的这些新创的一些新的一些他观察到的一些趋势，我想就怎么样去协助现有的这些产业跟公司去做所谓的数位转型，目前是新创的一个很好的机会，特别在有所谓的5G、AIoT 现有的这个技术跟工具的协助之下 ，OK， 所以非常谢谢 Peter 带来的这个 insight 哦。那接下来我们进行我们今天下午的第2场演讲，我们的讲者是来自于线上学习这个领域哦。那我想特别在今年，其实当台湾情况比较好，就是说大部分的学校从小学到大学都还能够持续到学校上课。但在台湾以外，我所看到的，包含在香港、包含在大陆跟其他，包含美国跟欧洲地区，有大量的学生其实是透过上网课的方式去继续他们的教育哦。所以，所谓的线上的教学、线上教育，在过去更多，我想就是说，可能是一个大家认为是一个 nice to have， 但今年在 COVID-19 的情况之下，变成一个 must have 的一个新的一种一个环境，或者说一个工具。那我们接下来的第2场讲者就会就来自线上教育这个领域哦。那他本身今天要来跟我们分享的是线上教育的行为和趋势，以及在这个疫情之下所看到的零接触的新的科技所带来的一些变化。那让我们来掌声欢迎VoiceTube 的共同创办人及营运长蔡丰任 Johnny 来上台跟我们分享他的看法，谢谢。
All right, everyone. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here at Meet Taipei because this might be the only physical event right now happening around the world. And I think it's really a blessing. Like when I step into the door and I feel the energy of all these startups having these great innovative ideas, I feel like in the future is so bright. And I want to special thanks to the Meet Taipei crew, and actually I think every one of you have contributed to this event's success because everyone wearing your masks and following the protocol. So maybe give everyone, yourself, the team a big round of applause, all right? Yeah, thank you for the crew, yeah, because they worked so hard about this. Yeah, it's really a blessing, so I'm very honored to be here. Please let me introduce myself. My name is Johnny Tsai, and I'm from VoiceTube. VoiceTube is currently the largest language edtech in Asia, and we have more than 4 million users on our platform right now, with more than 100,000 of learning materials, videos on our website, and people are very engaging with our product. And I think what makes us so special is we use real-life content to create learning materials. And our mission is to enable people to enjoy language learning through close-to-life situations with technology and high-quality content. Because a lot of people have telling me like they cannot remember phrases or vocabulary. And I always tell them, because you don't have the situation to use it, and you don't know the context of using these vocabulary, so it's so easy to forget. And what we do differently is we use YouTube video, like real-life videos, for you to know how to use a second language. And currently, our company has already founded for 7 years. And this journey began 7 years ago when I was having a trip to Vietnam. At the time, I was surfing on the internet and found a forum, and I tried to find travel buddies on the forum. So I sent a post and looked for locals to introduce me some local attractions or restaurants. And surprisingly, in the afternoon, I received more than 30 messages in my inbox. Like, wow, like, why so many people send me messages and willing to come out and meet me? I'm a total stranger from another country. So then I realized they are so motivated that they have a chance to engage with foreigners and to practice their English. So at the moment, I found out, wow, this is a great idea to start a business, and so many people are so engaged willing to improve their language abilities. And to me, learning a new language is like have a lot of benefits. For example, like it inspires me a lot, deepen my understanding of different cultures, make a lot of new friends, and discover a lot of new ideas around the world, including helping me to start this business till this day. So I believe a lot of you might sharing similar experiences. So that's why so many people are so engaged learning a different language and meet new friends. So currently, our platform has more than 100,000 of videos on our website, more than 4 million users on our website. And with 1.5 million of monthly active users, and more than 80,000 of the users are paid users. This is our situation. And next, I would like to share some of our observation about this pandemic. So, conclusion first. Online learning has showed a significant growth during this period of time, the pandemic. And we are finding it's already establishing a new normal for education. For example, in this year, from January to March, from VoiceTube's data, we can see no matter in foreign markets or in the domestic market, we see a risingly demand for online learning. And for example, in Japan market, we have active user rising for 14.3% in this period of time. And the average time per user spending on our platform have increased more than 60%. This is a large increase for their using time. And similar in Taiwan, because in February we start to extend our opening of our school, and a lot of teachers are preparing online teaching and homeschooling. A lot of them actually recommended our platform, VoiceTube, to their students. So we also see a huge jump of our active user with more than 24.7%. And average spending time on our platform also rise more than 59%. So these numbers can give you a taste of how this pandemic has been shifting online education scene. So besides VoiceTube, I think a lot of education scene have been impacted heavily. According to OECD's recent report, only 60% of the teachers have been trained in technology-assisted teaching. And only 36% have personally experienced an online lesson or online training. So that means more than half of the teachers never experienced any online learning. So how do they perform these online lessons? And one thing worth to be noted is OECD countries, like most of them are from Europe and North America. They are all developed countries. So even in the developed countries, we can see these figures. So this is a huge challenge for teachers and students to continue on this online era. And I think a lot of teachers are trying to figure out and experiencing a new model for teaching. And one model has been recently getting popular is blended learning. Blended learning means we combine face-to-face interaction on some sections and also use online platforms for knowledge sharing and learning. So the teachers can be more focused on coaching and organizing discussion groups and to inspire your students to keep them motivated. And the students can go home, go on the internet, and use these online platforms for knowledge absorption. And they can take it easy and follow with their own pace. So it won't be so rushed if students are lagging behind. They won't feel the rush for a class, and I think it can make the learning more effectively. So these are some models users and teachers are trying to figure out, and I think there are a lot of new technology coming out this year, and people are still figuring out what will be the best way for us, for teachers to teach. And from our point of view, we also do a lot of studies, user research, how do we improve user experience on the online learning. And we come out to these two trends and a conclusion. The first is the integrate of media and education. We find that more and more people are used to look up information and gaining knowledge on net. And a lot of teachers actually become internet influencers on the internet. They have their own YouTube channels, Instagram, and thousands or millions of followers. So the content-wise also being transformed into bite-sized lectures that users are easy to understand and it's very entertaining. So this is the boundaries between education and social media are blurring. So we are also trying to make our content more social media-like and to make our users be more engaged and can learn from anytime and anywhere. And the other thing is a lot of internet educational platforms created so many powerful tools for teachers. So teachers can easily generate courses online. And usually in the past, these courses, a lot of them are very niche and maybe don't have a huge demand. So it's hard to be able to open a physical classroom to teach it. But now everything moved online, so they are facing the audience of around the world. And a lot of these edge cases, a lot of unique skill sets, and now being able to become a course online. And we find that it's very interesting. The resources are so abundant, and the knowledge economy era, I think, is just the beginning. The second thing is on most of the online education platform, there's a pain point because most of the students are not so self-disciplined, and that's why a lot of people just give up after like 1 or 2 weeks. So in order to fix this problem, we find out the most effective way is to establish connections. The connection might be between the platform and the users, or between the users, or between the teachers and the users. And what we do is we created a lot of private discussion chat rooms and for users to engage with each other. And the other thing is we also do a lot of user research, so we can send personalized message to each users and to fit their personal needs and interests. So they have a higher return rate once they see these messages if it's useful for them. The third thing is we also use a lot of user experience designing to make users to be engaging in some key features in our product. We find out once if the user have been using some key features such as looking up a dictionary or saving your vocabulary in a word book, the chance for them to come back is higher than the ones that didn't do it. So using these user experience studies and to adjust our features also helps our user to be more engaged. So using these techniques to establish connections is very useful for our users to keep coming back. Sorry, I cannot switch to the next page. Oh, all right. Oops. All right. So, so a lot of people are asking if this is just a short-term phenomena, what will happen after the pandemic? And we believe the new learning model will continue. Why is that? Because once you taste the benefit of this new technology, it's hard to go back. And from our observation, in the third quarter in Taiwan, our paid user has actually grown more than 23%. And as you know, in Taiwan, in the third quarter, the influence of the pandemic already been very lessened. So this shows us this gives us some confidence that after the pandemic, this demand will continue to rise. And we find out our users are really passionate. Most of them, over 30% of them, come to a platform and learn consecutively 2 days in a row or more, and having a really high retention rate. And I think besides the pandemic influence, the other thing is what we have working on is to try to make our service more personalized. I think this is another key why the users after pandemic, they are still willing to spend more time and money on our platform. So how do we use our technology to make the service more personalized? I summarize it into 3 categories. First, we do natural language processing technology. We use this technology to browse over the internet of millions or zillions of content and find out the ones which is most trending right now and might get our users' interest. And after collecting a lot of videos into our backend, we will use this algorithm to tag each video. So our system will know which videos should be matched with which users. And also, we also analyze the grammatically structure of the sentences and the word of using in the videos. So we can determine what kind of difficulty level it is. And this provides us a very powerful tool, a powerful content pool to provide our user excellent services. And the second part is we use our data to do more personalized recommendation. How we do it is after users come to our platform, they will browse a lot of different videos, and we will start to know what kind of video they are interested in. And from their exercise, we will know their weak points, what kind of phrases they are not familiar with, and what kind of vocabulary they are saving to their word book. So after using these users' data and behavior, we can determine what kind of service or what kind of content are the most suitable for them to learn for the next milestone. And I think this is one of the very different learning or teaching methodology than the physical world. So we can accurately identify every user's needs and fit their exact demand. And last but not least is we use these technology, AI technology, to do the teaching part. What we do the most is the pronunciation analysis. So after users record the sentences in our platform, our machine will determine which syllables they have pronounced funny or pronounced correctly. So if they have pronounced something weird, and our system will identify it and give them some guidance and to correct them. So in a traditional world, the teacher cannot be so patient and to listen to everyone's practices. But right now, with the assist of AI technology, at least one-on-one tailor-made teaching can be happen on the online world. So to sum up, the online learning technology is booming right now, and it really brings a lot of new opportunity to the world. And as I just mentioned before, some of the opportunities will be relying on the content, like having a new format of the content, more social media-like, will be more appealing to our users. The second is we have to be more engaging with our user, create more connecting points with them. And I think the user experience is one of the key advantage online platforms are competing. And the other thing is the technology part. The technology assisted users or teachers to do what they can do the best. So teachers in the future will be more focusing on coaching and maybe tutoring. And students can have their own, can study at their own pace on these online learning platforms. I think this blended model will be more efficient and more effective in the education scene. And I think it will be a major trend in the future. And last but not least, the technology, AI, will shift a lot of education scenes. For example, having a more accurate content for user, a more one-on-one tailor-made program can be generated with a very low cost. These are a lot of major trends will happen in the future. And at the last, I want to come back to our mission. So, I believe online learning is a very, it will still be a mainstream, and the pandemic will not stop us. Our mission is to encourage more students, more users to enjoy learning a second language. And I think even in this pandemic era, we VoiceTubers will still help our users to learn, to engage, and to connect with the world and have fun. So I hope everyone here, if you're agreeing with our mission, I invite you to join us, download our app, and try it out. I think you won't be disappointed. So this is VoiceTube and my sharing, and hope you enjoy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Johnny from VoiceTube. 我们谢谢 Johnny 带来的很精彩关于线上学习的分享哦。那但我想，因为疫情的关系，也造成这个现在线上学习产业的一个很快速的发展。那当然，线上学习的领域很广，其实不只是在语言的方面，我想其实包含在很多的技能的方面。那同时也不限于学校的学生哦，因为我一直认为是说，现在企业的员工的所谓的在职的训练、教育训练，其实很大一块，其实目前也已经是在往这个线上教育的方式在进行哦。那特别是说，将来再结合像 VR、AR 的这些技术进来，所以以后的所谓的线上学习的可能性的空间是非常大的哦。那另外一点，我在想，当然现在可能还没有业者，或者可能也许有一些尝试是说，怎么样把一些线上游戏的东西跟线上学习可以再结合，就是说你其实在玩游戏的过程也在学习东西，或者在学习东西的过程，其实透过玩游戏，所以online gaming、VR、AR， 然后包含所谓的学校的学生跟企业的员工的在职训练，我想这里面有很多的机会，在所谓的 online education 这一块，其实可以再有很多的发挥。所以我想其实刚才 Johnny 这边其实所介绍，应该只是所谓的线上学习产业的很小的一块哦。那还有更大的空间在等待很多的新创的公司去在这里面去做更进一步的发掘。好，那么接下来就是我们今天下午的4场演讲里面呢，除了 Microsoft 之外，有另外3场，包括刚才前面这一场，其实都是新创公司带来他们实际上的这个目前的创业的经验的分享哦。那我们接下来这一场呢，也是，那是来自于 CloudMile 万里云。那万里云是在2017年成立哦。那在致力于推动企业上网，进一步透过数据的汇整跟治理，落实 AI 应用的云端科技公司。那许多公司都会把所谓数位转型当成像一个专案哦。那其实数位转型不只是一个专案，而是在这个案子进行完之后，才有很多后续的包含维护、更新才要开始哦。那 CloudMile 其实致力于在协助企业在数位转型的整个这个过程，包含之后的一些服务。那今天代表 CloudMile 出席来分享经验的是有多年的海内外销售跟行销营运跟策略拟定经验。 并且曾经在包含雅虎、台湾等知名公司任职的营运长 James 哦。那在 James 开始他的演讲之前呢，会先分享一段影片，然后之后再上台跟大家做报告。让我们先掌声欢迎，谢谢。
Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, so first of all, on behalf of the original speaker, who is Spencer Liu, Liu Yongxin 先生, because he had got some very urgent family issues need to be taken care. So I'll be the one to do the presentation. So although I'm not as handsome as Spencer, but I'll still talking about the opportunity for AI startup after COVID-19. So from cloud data to AI and how CloudMile, which is my company, catches the next wave of digital transformation. I'm James Gao. I'm the CEO of CloudMile. So I actually start up my own business in year of 2000, well, 20 years ago. So trust me, I know startup very well. But after that, I joined multinational companies in Taipei, Hong Kong, Shanghai, Beijing, then I back to Taiwan. And I joined CloudMile from day zero, actually, to start with Spencer, this very interesting company. We do B2B service. We help enterprise to fulfill their cloud, their data, their AI initiatives, and fulfill their cloud data and AI business. So CloudMile, currently we have almost 100 people here in Taipei. We have office in Hong Kong. We also have an office in Singapore. So our mission is to unleash the power of data and to make it effectively valuable and innovative. So since we are talking about the startup or the startup ecosystem, let's first of all see the global startup report. We are looking at the COVID-19 innovative ranking. And of course, you will see our old friend or friendly friend, San Francisco is always got the #1 position. But following by some, the cities in the US or even the city in Europe, as you can see, Taipei is actually #10 with a very good ranking. So Taipei City is actually #10 among the global innovative after COVID-19. So that's why CloudMile will grow up quite fast. So we take the opportunity of the very innovative hub here in Taiwan. So we have a very good talent to build up our data and AI and cloud capacities here in Taiwan, then grow up to Hong Kong and Singapore. So after looking up the global situation, I think we can also looking at the impact of the COVID-19 to see the short-term liquidity impact and also the profitability impact. Let's see how's the metrics. So as you can see, it's quite easy to understand that tourism and travel is kind of the top industry that was impacted by the COVID-19. Airlines, of course, although here we are in Taiwan, China Airlines, EVA Airlines is actually still profitable. But you can see from the newsletters that, a lot of airlines in the region or even globally, they are shutting down their business. They are reorganize their structure. Retail is, of course, because a lot of tourism cities, a lot of retail is actually based on the foreign travelers. Like what we have, Carmile's branch office in Hong Kong and Singapore, they are both kind of highly impacted by the COVID-19 situation. But what we saw is, although they are highly impacted, but if you are a startup, if you are very focused on AI and machine learning and data, those three industries are actually very important for you to think. I will share a little bit more later that why they are important. So go back to Carmile a little bit. As I mentioned that we are actually taking care of the cloud, the data, and AI of the enterprise. We do know a lot of insight of our clients and our industries. We are kind of one of the leading cloud partners here in Taiwan. So even within the COVID-19 impact, who are still growing, whose business is still booming? Number one, gaming and social gaming. Do you know what is social gaming? That is gambling, if we use another word. After COVID-19, their business is actually, 32% up. Why we know? Because we check their cloud computing usage. So gaming and social gaming, I think is easy to understand because of work from home, because of the lockdown for the city or even for the country. People tend to spend more time on the gaming or even on the social gaming or AKA gambling. E-commerce is easy to understand. Even we guys here in Taiwan, sometimes people have a little bit concern to go to the shopping malls in a certain period of time. So people are more intent to use online shopping or e-commerce services. Media and entertainment. I think Johnny already go to the booth. On top of the online education or learning, I think media and entertainment is also a very key or very famous or popular activity for people during the COVID-19. EdTech, I think that one is because of the booming of gaming, of the booming of the e-commerce, also because of the booming of the media and entertainment. So people are more, the business user need to spend more money on the advertising. So why this is important and why I want to show these numbers? Because if you are startups, let's see why they are growing. Because they have more computing power or more cloud computing usage, which means they have more business to do, which means they have more transactions and more data involved. So talking about digital transformation of your startup, want to do business with them, they are the key target of you. So after or during the COVID-19, of course, there are some negative impact. Okay, people cannot go out because of lockdown. People cannot go to the restaurant to have dinner because of the social distance. People, they have a lot of business challenges. But on the other hand, COVID-19 is still, that's why I say this a golden opportunity. Because we always, let's zoom back a little bit for the digital transformation. In the enterprise world or business world, we are always asking ourselves, okay, who is the decision maker? Who is the sponsor for the digital transformation? Is that the CEO of the company? Is that the CTO of the company who should be the decision maker or the sponsor for the digital transformation? Or is that the board to make up the decision? Or some people might say, okay, I'll start from ground to top. Or some people say from top to ground. But actually my very interesting finding is actually COVID-19 is actually the enhancer or decision maker or a very big sponsor of the digital transformation. Remember my previous slide that for those highly impact industries like travel, like airlines or retail, That's exactly our experience because of COVID-19. Before that, those industries are kind of, well, they earn good money in the old days, so they are kind of slightly stay behind or kind of more conservative to talking about the transformation, to bring new technologies, especially for the retail. That's a very old industry, very, not say old-fashioned, but they are more conservative. But after COVID-19, our finding is they are more eager to find a new way. They are more eager to find a new smart retail, smart travel. You try to use more data analytics and more AI solutions to enhance their business. So that's why I say COVID-19 is actually a decision maker for them. Because before that it's difficult, and now we see more and more opportunities, not only from us, but also from our partners or other players in the market. So, not only in Taiwan or not only with CloudMile, we also see a lot of good examples from Fujitsu, from a lot of important international cases show that digital transformation is happening and they didn't stop. And even after COVID-19, they are more important and more powerful nowadays for you. No matter you are working in the startup or you are working in the enterprise, it's a very good topic for you. So there are actually 3 challenges when we are talking about the companies to implement or doing the digital transformation. Number 1 is infrastructure. So from our experience, our understanding that 60% of Taiwanese companies, they actually do the digital transformation here in Taiwan already, but they are still struggling a little bit on the infrastructure part. So no matter what they are using cloud or not, so you might think that, okay, if you are doing the cloud, it's kind of the digital transformation. Not exactly, because even you are using cloud, or no matter what or which cloud you are using, nowadays it's kind of the hybrid cloud settings or different kind of cloud optimization programs is a kind of a key factor for you or for them to do the digital transformation. Number 2 is data. A lot of data from our experience or what we know, enterprise or business tend to put their data on the cloud. Yes, of course, cloud is cheaper, cloud is more efficiency, cloud is actually more reliable. But what do they do after they put their data to the cloud? It's a big question or big issues you need to ask yourself if you are the business owner, or if you are a startup. It's a very key point for you to think what you can do to help them, for those people who already put their data on the cloud, what you should do to make them to leverage the power of digital transformation. Number 3, machine learning. Though it's a trendy topic, but I would say still in Taiwan, I would say 70% of enterprise already or start to implement or use a machine learning approach, or try to use machine learning or AI, different kind of service to help their business. So from CloudMile, we actually have different kind of solutions or approach to help our enterprise clients or to help people to doing their digital transformation. Number 1, if we are talking about infrastructure or talking about cloud, we actually build up a managed service platform to help people to manage their inventories or their access on the cloud. Number 2, for data, we actually have our data lab. We have our data governance service or procedures. We have our API management. Number 3 is AI. We help enterprise or corporate to build up the MVPs. So to try to have a trial or have a minimal variable product as a starter for enterprise. That's why we try to help the digital transformation in different kind of sectors, no matter you are in big industries or no matter you are just a small startup. So let me use some real case to share some of our experience. This one is Shopline. They are online shopping platform. They are actually have business here, quite a good business here in Taiwan, Hong Kong, or even some other Asian countries. Before they do the digital transformation, they actually suffer a lot of things about the scalabilities, about the limited resources. They try to speed up have some latency problems. But after they use the cloud platforms or the cloud MSPs, they actually get 10x about the operational efficiency. This one is 70 Media. I think a lot of people here in Taiwan know these companies. They're actually using another cloud platform before, and we help them to do the cloud migration to GCP, which is Google Cloud Platform. So we actually solve a lot of problems to make their data more valuable, and most important thing is because of the data, their decision maker, their management team can have the last dashboard or have the last status of the business. They can do a lot of adjustment right away. And this one is my favorite reference case. It's a very old fabric or textile manufacturing company. They used to have a very typical pain point that they build up the fabric. So their clients is actually those big logo, big brands. So when those merchandisers or designers want to talk about the fabrics, it's very difficult for them to find out the samples because they are quite old. So they have tons of samples in the storage room, or even after some digitalization, they do have the fabric samples on the computer. But it's always very difficult for them to find, sometimes take 45 to 90 days. But after they implement AI or machine learning, they can actually identify the fabric sample within 2 seconds. So the new design cycle will shorten from 1 year actually to 2 to 3 days. So as you know, the fast fashion is now a trendy way. So right now they can have a new design, new fabric within 2 to 3 months, which is very helpful and which is kind of a must-have in the modern days. So you can imagine that when the designer or merchandiser of their clients, they can take pictures of these clothes, and they can send to this company that, hey, do you have this fabric? Okay, in old days it takes times, weeks to check, do they have this fabric? But now it's 2 to 3 seconds. They can say, yes, we have this one. My company actually, their company actually built up, have this fabric 2 years ago, 10 years ago. Or most of the time they don't have this fabric, of course, because it's other companies. But they can try to identify, do we have a similar fabric? Do we have a very like fabric for you to think about and for you to do the design thinking? So this helped them a lot. So from those examples, you can see that you need the right data. Because machine learning at the beginning is you need the data. So you need the right data to go further with AI. If there's no data, there's no AI. For machine learning 101, you need to have a clean or good data, because always the old saying, garbage in, garbage out, good data in, good data out, good machine learning out. So data is so important. So let's pause it a little bit. Let's think about what I just mentioned. Have you heard any keywords? Do you see any very important element for the modern business or for the digital transformation, which is data? So people might heard a cliche about that data is a new oil. Data is a new oil. But for oil, it's like the benefit of the oil. We got good money. We got the oil which enhance the modern industrial revolution. But oil also bring pollutions, also bring the global warming situations. Data is the same. For data, we always say data, you can do data analytics, we can do data mining. With data, you can build up good machine learning models, have a lot of benefit. But a lot of people didn't realize or realized slightly too late that data can have some negative influence. For example, data leaking. For example, if you didn't manage your data well, you might have some privacy issues. Yes, you know that GDPR is kind of a trendy topic now in European countries, but now also very important in Asia. So data is important, yes. Data can bring you money. With data, you have machine learning, can enhance your business, can do a lot of digital transformation. But on the other hand, that's also what, after almost 4 years, Carmel found out that have as much as data you can get is important. But also important is you need to think about or start to plan your data governance. Start to plan your data governance. Because without data governance, you cannot leverage or maximize your data. Without data governance, you might have a risk to using the data. So I would like to invite everyone in this room to think about to reflect to your own business or the business you are going to start up. Can data help you? What can data bring or speed up your business? Or can you use data to help other enterprise or other clients and become one of your business model? So think about that and think about what can you leverage the power of data. So basically, we actually categorize the value creation of the data into 3 large brackets. Number 1 is inside within your company. Number 2 is outside of your company. And number 3, the most important thing is we will actually want you to think about, can we build up an ecosystem to leverage the data and also think about the data governance, the benefit of implementation of the data governance. So number 1, within your company. So for data, is actually, you collect all the data. So that's kind of number 1. From data, you will get the information. So within your company, if you do data governance well, you get a lot of information. Then from those information, you will get knowledge. Knowledge is power. Then with those knowledges, you will get insight. After the insight, you will have the wisdom. That's what data governance can help you within your organization or within your company. But how about with others? If you are the company who can or who are actually doing or taking care of the data governance, that's not good enough. So we are talking about other companies. For example, if you are doing online shopping, your advertising company, your logistic company, your partners, all doing data governance very well, then you can have a more external benefit of data governance. Then the ultimate goal is actually have a very smart ecosystem. Everyone is taking care of the data, of course, and also they taking care of the data governance. So it's actually just like a F1 racing. If you just do your normal business, as we say, doing cloud, doing data, doing AI, I would say that's not good enough. Thinking about data governance or the importance of data governance, then you can survival in this COVID-19 situation, or you can do the corner overtaking, 弯道超车. Then this is your golden opportunity to think about or to leverage the power or the benefit of data governance. So that's why after almost 4 years, Carmel, we start, as I say, we start very small, less than 10 people. Now we have almost 100 people in 3 cities. Very soon we are going to open our number 4 office, even in this COVID-19 situation. We know that have enough data, have AI, machine learning, that's what we always talk about 2 years ago. But now we are actually trying to tell everyone that data governance is important, and we are actually trying to help people to know more or implement more about data governance. There are actually 3 stages. So number 1, foundation. Number 2, execution. And number 3, have the execution is not good enough. You should and you need to continuously do the value, create the value more and more. So because of time, I think I'm going to take read it through from the beginning of foundational stage. You will do a lot of things like data qualities, privacy by design, and when you're doing this, you still need to do some risk management to taking care of the GDPR and a lot of things. For the execution stage, as I mentioned that you should think about the benefit of inside, outside of the ecosystems, but you should also taking care of the APIM or the access of other people's data and the control of your own business data. Continuous, that part is also important because modern world is always change. While you are taking care of the monetization, of the IoTs, etc., you need to think about some political or law changes. For example, 2 years ago, nobody was aware of the trade war between US and China. And sometimes if you are talking about or doing some government-related project, the government attitude, sometimes you need to think about that. So within CloudMile, we have some advantage to help our friends, our enterprise customers, or even corporate or SMB or even startups throughout this journey. So fundamentally, we can do the cloud specialization infrastructure. From the execution, we have API management. For the continuous value creation, we have our MSP, Managed Service Platform. And we actually have different kind of successful cases. So we are not just bluffing. We're actually helping some of our clients here in Taiwan, or mostly actually for data governance, I have to say that our Hong Kong or Singapore office actually have more demand. That's why I want to share this here in Taiwan, that we really need to think about that, and our clients in Hong Kong and Singapore is actually thinking about that. We should also think about that here in Taiwan. So, data governance, or the implementation of data governance, or that, as I mentioned, that's a very key component during your digital transformation. It's kind of a continuous cycle. So from number one, good data governance, and you can get more data, you need to think about. Number two, through this, you can build up trust. Trust is always very important, and I would say in modern days, it's sometimes not easy to find. You need to build up trust even within your company. You need to build up trust among your partners, your business partners. You need to build up trust from your company and your customers, no matter you are doing B2B or B2C. And after a good data governance, I have a good trust, then you can have a trustworthy data governance ecosystem. That's what we are always talking about, and that's what if you can bring home with some ideas, this is something I want to share with you. So, as a quick conclusion, what CloudMile's idea about digital transformation and data governance. Number one, MSP. You need to find a good platform to help you or manage, to help you to manage your data, your cloud, your AI perspective. Number two, for data, you need to think about data governance and API management. And for this, CloudMile can actually help you, or we're actually helping a lot of our clients to enable or enhance about this part. And number three, for AI and machine learning, is still a trendy topic. I think you heard about this machine learning, AI, maybe 100 times today if you sit from the morning. So we are thinking about AI for business is always, of course, again, no matter your company size, no matter you are working for a startup or you are going to start up your own business, think about these three areas. I think if you can take care of this cloud managed service platform to find a good partner, to think about your data, and remember, please remember the data governance, because through that, you always try to get more data and try to explain the importance of data. That's, of course, good, but that's not good enough. Try to think about the data governance. And of course, on top of data governance, you need to think about the API management. Number 3, then you can have a good AI strategy, AI solutions, AI products. That's something you can help for your clients or to your end user. So these 3 steps, these 3 important areas is kind of my last sharing with you guys. And my last slide, we are CloudMile. Please follow us on our Facebook. You can go to our website. You can have our LinkedIn, and you can see some of our findings or sharings on the YouTube. So that's all my sharing today. Thanks a lot for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you. 我们谢谢万里云的营运长 James 很精彩的分享关于数位转型的他的一些观察以及他们客户的一些经验哦。那接下来我们进行我们今天的论坛的最后一场，也是我们压轴的一个演讲，是关于智慧医疗。那我想特别谈到智慧医疗这一块，有非常多人的期待在这个领域。我想特别针对台湾来说，因为基本上我们来看的话，就是在整个医疗的这个领域里面，台湾基本上一直是在世界上名列前茅。那大概分析统计的指标大概不外乎3项，第一个是说你的这个所谓医疗的水准，就诊断跟治疗；第二个是说你的这个服务的这个水准；第3个是说是不是在一个可负担的价格的情况之下。那大多数的国家可能在1项、2项上面取得不错的成绩，但台湾是综合整体3项都不错。所以我看过好多的排名，但基本上台湾大概在整个医疗的这个领域里面，全世界应该现在综合平均来说是排在前3名哦。那当然在有些调查里面，台湾也曾经排到第1名。那我们谈到智慧医疗，就是说医疗结合这个所谓的智慧的这一块领域，特别是所谓台湾的 ICT 产业，那正好也是台湾在国际上属于是我们的强项的这个部分哦。所以2个强项就是医疗加上 ICT， 有没有可能整合出台湾下一个新的可能在世界上不只是名列前茅，有可能成为第1、第2的这样的一个行业？我想现在有非常多的这种期待，不管是新创团队，不管是说就是投资者的这个资金，其实都在关注，并且我想实际都已经有一些行动在这个领域产生了。所以我们接下来呢，这位讲者是来自于云象科技的创办人叶兆元哦。那我想云象科技是一个非常有趣的公司，就是说特别他们在所谓的医疗影像的这个领域里面，透过医疗影像的 AI 化来减少医师重复性的工作，并且提高诊断的正确率这一部分呢，他们一直是投入很大的心力，并且在技术上领先哦。那在今年的疫情期间呢，他们不只是跟美国的匹兹堡大学医学中心合作研发，也有机会争取到 FDA 的这个认证哦，尽快让产品打进美国市场。那他们究竟如何做到呢？接下来我们就欢迎来自云象科技创办人叶兆远 Joe 来跟我们分享他的第一手经验。我们掌声欢迎他，谢谢。
Hi everyone, I'm Joe, founder and CEO of Ether AI. It's my pleasure to come here and share with you some of our progress in medical image AI. And first, a quick introduction to our company. We're a medical image AI company founded in October 2015. So we're just about 5 years old. And we're dedicated to developing digital pathology workflow system. By this, I mean, when pathology department is going digital, they need an image management system and a slide viewer. So we provide those to hospitals that are undergoing digital transformation in the pathology department. And also, equally importantly, we're developing various medical image AI diagnostic support systems for hospitals. We've gone through a very rapid growth in the past few years, and now we have 60 employees. Most interesting thing about us is that we actually have 6 medical doctors on the team. That makes us very easily bridge the gap between technology and medicine and develop a lot of the relevant medical image AI software solutions. Through partnership with medical centers in both Taiwan, US, and Japan, we now have more than 15 ongoing medical image AI products in the development pipeline. All right, so AI is a brand new opportunity for healthcare, And this has never been seen before, ever in the healthcare industry. So the hospitals are very interested in this new trend. A lot of hospitals are now setting up AI centers. So that is a very interesting thing because, you know, I came from a medical background, but I never saw a hospital so interested in adopting new technology. AI, of course, is not a new word. The term was first coined in 1956 by computer science luminaries in this picture. So AI is a very broad discipline. Deep learning is at its core. So it's also the driving force between the recent AI revolution we've seen in the past few years. Sorry. Deep learning is very different from previous AI techniques, and that is also why it's generating a lot of interest in the healthcare industry. So for example, if we're trying to distinguish between two images, one is lymphocyte on the left-hand side and the other is neutrophil on the right-hand side, the traditional image processing approach is to begin with a knowledge-driven approach. So we'll ask experts about how to differentiate between the two images. After we come up with a solution in our head, then we design algorithms. So for example, we notice that the lymphocyte has a high nuclear to cytoplasm ratio, and then we move on to design an algorithm that allows us to calculate the NC ratio. On the other hand, deep learning is a data-driven approach that completely just do away with expert analysis. We just need their answers. We don't need their reasoning. So we simply ask experts to provide labels to the images, and then we use a lot of annotated images and let deep learning or deep neural network to figure out the features that are important for the image classification. It has been proven in the past 10 years that deep learning, or say AI, is much superior than the traditional image processing approach. And that is also why there's a lot of AI startup and not a lot of image processing startup. Ever since 2012, AI has beat other traditional image processing methods in the ImageNet classification contest. And ever since 2012, AI has never lost a battle. A very important benchmark is in year 2015, where the algorithm made by Microsoft, the ResNet, has surpassed human performance in the image classification task in the ImageNet contest. So that year also marked the emergence of a lot of new AI startup, including medical image AI startup, because it passed what I called the practicality threshold. Now we have proven that AI can be helpful for a human being. They deserve more attention and more investment. All right, now I want to introduce you to some of the medical image AI development at Ether AI. So these are real use cases that we're developing together with our hospital partners. This is our approach to medical image AI. So there are a few broad categories. The most important one is for diagnostic support. This is also where a lot of medical image AI startup focus on. So by this I mean AI is helping doctors in reaching their diagnosis, usually in a more supportive function. So the most common one is for lesion and pathogen detection. So for example, we're training AI to recognize cancer tissue in a tissue specimen, so to improve the diagnosis efficiency. Or we help doctors to find very small pathogen, for example, TB mycobacterium, to save their time. Because finding TB is like looking for a needle in a haystack. It's very tedious and time-consuming. And also we're trying to let AI to help doctors do something that they don't typically do. For example, quantitative image analysis. When doctors are reading medical images, very often they're performing so-called qualitative image analysis. They get a feeling through eyeballing. So that is a nicer way to put it. In short, they could be guessing. So they're just having a feeling without actually go into it and perform detailed quantitative analysis. But this is what AI can do much better than human being. Also equally important is for AI to help doctor to make prediction about prognosis. Prognosis refers to the long-term outcome prediction of a patient. So for example, when you have a certain cancer, doctor will tell you how much longer can you live, and that is what we call prognosis. Or doctor will tell you the probability of you getting a relapse. So it is important for a doctor to communicate this information to patients so that they can anticipate what their life will become after a certain diagnosis is made. Of course, AI can also help. There are two common approaches. One of them is so-called model-based approach. That is still based on previous medical knowledge, where AI is only outputting some quantitative features, and human doctors will put those quantitative features into another prediction model, so that we can have a more detailed understanding of how the algorithm is making prediction about the prognosis. The other so-called black box approach is to let AI to figure out all the relationship between the input feature and the output feature. The output feature meaning the prognosis prediction. So doctors don't know how AI is making those predictions, but what we can only examine is how precise they are. And from an industrial point of view, it is also equally important to integrate AI into workflow, because at the end of the day, AI has to help human beings to achieve higher work efficiency. So we have to care about how AI can help doctors in their daily workflow. It has to be seamlessly integrated so that AI can achieve its maximum impact. So some of these tools are more mundane from an academic point of view. So for example, image quality control. It is unthinkable that actually in daily hospital workflow, there's still a lot of human labor involved in very tedious and actually mundane tasks. For example, there's still a lot of technicians looking at the image and reject those images that are of poor quality. This is where AI can help, and doctors wouldn't mind AI taking over this kind of task. And also because doctors are facing with a lot of workflow, especially in Taiwan, so AI can also help in triaging, meaning filtering out the high-risk patient and ask doctors to focus more on those high-risk patients. Now, these are the real use cases that we have developed over the years in the company history. So this is the most common application for AI. This is for cancer detection in a digital pathology slide. By digital pathology slide, I mean to use a whole slide scanner to scan the physical slide, which contains a pathology specimen, and digitize it into a whole slide images. These are of extremely high resolution, typically in the range of billions. For doctors to look at a picture of billion pixels, it is very time-consuming to locate very minute lesions. For example, this is an actual case where AI performs better than junior doctors. This is a nasal biopsy. Pathologist's task is to identify whether or not there is cancer tissue in this large piece of specimen. In this particular case, as you can see circled by the red box, there are 3 hotspots identified by AI. So these were actually cancer lesions. So you can see they occupy a very small fraction of the entire specimen, and this is why junior doctors might make a mistake. And this is where AI can help. So when doctor open up the slide, he will first notice that there's some areas highlighted by AI. He can then focus on those highlight area and examine whether or not they're cancer. So in this interesting case, the great majority of the sample is free of cancer, and cancer only resides in those small areas. And this is where human doctors make the most mistakes and where AI can help the most. The other product we've been developing is a real-time polyp detection AI for colonoscopy. Colonoscopy is a procedure where doctors stick a camera into your colon and examine for the presence of a polyp or tubular adenoma. So they're lesions, precancerous lesion. If you leave them there, eventually they'll develop into cancer. So when doctors see a polyp, they have to resect it. So the trick with this thing is that doctor might sometimes be distracted because it's a long procedure, usually in the range of 10 to 20 minutes. Doctor have to pull the camera through your colon and look for any signs of polyp. So our AI can serve as a second pair of eye and look at the colonoscopy image and actually circle or put a bounding box around the polyp and alert doctors, so to lower the risk of misdiagnosis. This is in collaboration with Cathay General Hospital. And this is one of our most unique products. This is the world's first and world's only AI-assisted differential counting tool for bone marrow smear. When a patient is suspected of having a blood disease, sometimes doctor will draw some bone marrow from patients and perform a smear, and then ask technicians to perform differential counting of bone marrow and arrive at the proportion of the cells in the bone marrow. If there's presence of abnormal cell, or if there's abnormal proportion, doctors can make the diagnosis of maybe lymphoma or leukemia based on the differential count results. This is a very time-consuming task ranging from 15 to 30 minutes and requires years of training. The kind of experts that can perform this task well are actually in shortage. So in some hospitals, doctors actually don't perform detailed counting, they simply look and get an impression. So we want to solve this with AI. So this is impossible with traditional image processing technique. As you can see, the image is very crowded with cells and the boundary is not clear. So traditional image processing algorithm cannot possibly perform this task so well as the AI or say neural networks. Through the partnership with National Taiwan University Hospital, we have accumulated over 650,000 cells annotation. This is the largest data set in the world so far, and we have reached over 93% average accuracy. Now we're in the process of initiating a multinational, multi-center clinical trial. This is one of the black box approach to make prognosis prediction by AI. So our idea is to train AI to look at the pre-surgical positron emission tomography image and predict whether or not a patient can live longer than 1 year. Apparently, this is a very important prediction because for patients with cancer, it is very important to know exactly or roughly how long they can live so that they can plan their life after the diagnosis of cancer. But typically, this is a very challenging task for doctors. Doctors only know prognosis information through statistics. So what doctors can tell you is that, based on our past statistics, you have a certain likelihood of living longer than, say, 1 year or 2 years. But doctors have no way of telling you individually how likely you, this person, are to live longer than 1 year. But this is where AI can help. So we use 600 patients' image data to train AI to make a prediction of how long the patient is going to live. And we're able to reach AUROC of 0.74. This is apparently not an ideal algorithm, but we're not at 0.5 where AI is merely guessing. Now we're moving closer to 1. But this is showing the promise of AI of making some predictions that human doctors are just never able to. This is another example of prognosis prediction, but this is more of a model-based approach. So our idea is to try to teach AI to look at the lung cancer specimen and try to make a prediction of how long the patient is going to live. But in this case, we're taking a model-based approach. So on the left-hand side is an H&E section. So this is actually coming from the patient's tumor. So we're first teaching AI to recognize the subtypes of the cancer contained within the specimen, and then we draw a subtype map. So after the image being processed by AI, we now end up with the proportion of each different subtype. We then feed this information to another AI model to make prognosis prediction. So we're able to draw the survival curve. So as we can know that the smaller amount of the high-risk cancer type you have, the longer you can live. But the relationship is a non-linear one, so it's very difficult for a human being to make that kind of prediction in their head, but it is very easy for AI to make such kind of prediction, assuming that we have large enough data set. This is another extreme example of AI performing something humans just cannot do. So this is a case of lymphoma. So in lymphoma, pathologists often have to look at the nuclear phenotype, or say the shapes of cell nuclei, and then tell the primary care doctors or the patient how risky their lymphomas are. So a low-risk lymphoma will have a very uniform characteristic. They call it monomorphic, meaning all the nuclei look the same, small, round. If the lymphoma is high risk, very often they have pleomorphic nuclear morphology. So by pleomorphic, meaning their shape and size vary at a very large degree. So what's in between though? What's in between the monomorphic lymphoma and pleomorphic lymphoma? This is what confuses pathologists the most because they only know how to differentiate between the most extreme cases. And this is where AI shines the most. So our idea is to train AI to recognize every single lymphoma nuclei and actually calculate the aspect ratio. So as you can see here, the blue bounding box are AI recognizing lymphoma nuclei and actually quantify the characteristic of each individual nucleus. So then we can come up with the statistics of each field of view and then draw it on this map right here. On the left upper corner, you'll see a lot of blue dots that are labeled as monomorphic. On the right lower side, you see a lot of red dots labeled as pleomorphic. The most interesting part is where you see in the middle of this chart right here. So these are the cases where doctors have a lot of trouble differentiating. It's somewhere between pleomorphic and monomorphic. Our idea is to no longer make this kind of distinction, but rather to provide with a quantitative score. So on the y-axis is the mean aspect ratio within the field of view. On the x-axis is the standard deviation of the aspect ratio. So with AI's help, we're able to quantify lymphoma nuclear morphology and hopefully make a more precise prediction about the prognosis or risk stratification for lymphoma patient. And this is probably the final example I'm going to show you. So this is another case where AI can perform very detailed quantitative analysis of human physiology that human doctors just cannot. So in this particular case, we're training AI to look at the whole spine lateral X-ray and perform key point detection. And afterwards, AI can analyze the spinal curve automatically. So after it identifies 45 key points, it can very quickly draw a curve of the spine through curve fitting and calculate all the relevant parameters in just a few seconds. For human doctors, it'll take them 30 minutes to perform analysis of each individual. So with AI's help, we can now create a very large database of human beings, of applying this model to generate quantitative features of human spine. All right, now coming back to the main topic of my talk. This is a very big challenge for me because, for every startup in Taiwan, we always need to think about how we can go beyond Taiwan and deploy our business model globally. This is always a challenge, especially this year. This is my conclusion after thinking hard about this problem for 2-3 weeks. I'm not saying we're doing excellently, but we're in the process of figuring out a way to go global. So these are the two major categories of strategies I'm listing here. So on the product service side, for you to be able to stand out, you really need to, especially with AI, you really need to reduce annotation effort for AI development. AI, or say deep learning or deep neural network, is hungry for data. This is true for any startup in any country. But right now, that has been a major burden for any company because hospitals are very busy with COVID-19 patients. Although we're relatively lucky here, but still, doctors in Taiwan still have a very high workload. So developing an AI model is bottlenecked by the annotation speed. So every AI company has to face the challenge of coming up with a strategy or new technology that reduces the annotation requirement for AI. Second, for you to truly have a chance in the COVID-19 or post-COVID-19 phase, you really need to make unique products because now the competition is going to be much more severe and it's much harder to open your customers' doors because they're busy with COVID-19, especially the hospitals. Hospitals are overwhelmed. They only want to see products that solve critical problems and are unique. There's simply too many competition out there and they don't have enough time. And then on the distribution side, you need to make it easily distributable because now COVID-19 has dramatically changed how people travel. So business travel is not going to be as usual as in the past days. Now you really have to be very efficient. So it's probably ideal if you can ship your products abroad without even sending your personnel outside. So you need to think about how you can distribute your product because right now travel is a very big issue. And of course, that brings to the fourth point. If you could, try to leverage the internet as much as possible. Now that really gives the startup CEO a very hard time thinking about how to adjust their business model to bring from to face-to-face mode to internet-only mode. That is going to be the major method forward. If you don't know how to leverage the internet, you're not going to be able to compete globally. On the sales and BD side, it is more important than ever to establish global partnership. Although this is probably trickier if you cannot travel outside. If you cannot travel, how can you build global partnership? But now let's come back to why you need global partnership. That is exactly because you cannot go out, right? For you to sell your products abroad, you cannot send your BD personnel there. You have to rely on local partnership. The critical question comes back to how to establish global partnership. Then I'll bring that back to if you make unique products, it is easier for you to find partners because they want to sell unique products. products that are open customer store. And then you also have to think about how to simplify your sales pitch. Because now even if you have to send your sales personnel outside, you probably can only send one person instead of one team. And that is exactly what we're doing right now. So at this point of time, we have one colleague in Japan. After 2 weeks of quarantine, she'll have to knock on doors of hospitals and our partners, but she's carrying all the demo equipment with her. So we need to put the entire sales team's ability into this single employee. So it is a very good challenge for us to actually try to simplify our sales pitch, that a single employee can do what used to be done by a whole sales team. And then you also have to think about putting together elite sales team, because now a lot of things that used to be done by a whole team now has to be done by a single person. If you can do that, then you have a chance. Now, after I say those strategies, these are a few examples of what exactly we're doing in Ether AI. So one of the biggest challenges for digital pathology is the image size, or say the GPU memory. So it is practically impossible to put the entire whole slide image into GPU because of the memory constraint. So the most common approach is so-called patch-based method, where researchers or scientists divide images into patches and train AI using those small image patches. The problem that comes with this approach is you have to provide annotation for each individual image patch. So that is troubling doctors as well. They don't have time. They don't want to do this. So we've been thinking hard about how we can overcome this problem. The initial solution we came up with is to leverage the system memory so that GPU can use the system memory to train neural network. But then we can use the entire whole slide images without cropping it up into small image patches. With this, we can use sign-out diagnosis and no detailed annotation. So this is why we think very hard about this problem. So in our patch-based approach, a doctor has to spend more than 1 hour annotating this particular slide. Typically, this will take them 10 seconds to make diagnosis. But for them to train AI, they have to spend 1 hour making annotation. And this is why medical image AI development is so slow and so time-consuming and so cumbersome. And that is also why AI companies have been thinking about strategies to reduce annotation requirement. With our new approach, we can teach AI using intact whole slide images, but the computation is very intense. So we're lucky to be here in Taiwan, where government has built a supercomputer named Taiwania 2 by the Ministry of Science and Technology. So the supercomputer has a lot of compute power, and it can chew through thousands of whole slide images and train AI to recognize cancer. So this is the effort we have been making in speeding up the process. Without software and hardware optimization, training AI using whole slide images will take months. So I guess that's bad news for startups, right? We don't have months to live. We have to see results in days or weeks. So with software optimization and the help of Taiwania 2 supercomputer, we're able to speed up the process by more than 500-fold. And this is the result. So using 1,600 training slides, we're able to reach AUROC of 0.9994. That is close to a perfect algorithm. So we're able to teach AI to recognize cancer in a lymph node section without performing detailed annotation, but using intact whole slide images only. And after AI is trained to recognize cancer, it can further localize the lesion, like what you see here. So with this approach, we're saving a lot of precious pathologist time, so while still keeping the performance for AI. So this is the major way forward. Okay. And to the point of making the product easily distributable, another advantage we have in Taiwan is that we have a very strong computer industry. So one competitive advantage we think that an AI startup can have in Taiwan is superior software and hardware integration. So this is exactly what we did. So for the bone marrow differential counting AI, we're also designing this AI box. This white box right here, it's made by IEI, an industrial computer company. It contains a very high-powered, very powerful GPU accelerator, Tesla T4, and it's just about as big as a loaf of toast. So we're shipping our product in this AI box along with a high-definition digital camera You mount this camera onto the microscope, and you can have AI diagnosis in just a few seconds. Because the solution is very simple, a camera and AI box, and software and AI box, we're actually able to sell this to Middle East at this point of time, even without seeing the distributor ourselves. Why is that happening? That is because our product is unique. So this is the only solution in the world, and it is easily distributable. So we can do business over video conference only. Now this is my last slide, and I'll need some help playing the video. I'll just press this. This is the next step for our bone marrow differential counting AI. In our first generation of product, it's a human plus AI. So human operator have to select field of view, but right now we're able to do this with AI's help. So AI is identifying region of interest automatically, and then switch to the high power view using the 100x oil lens. So now this is autonomous process done by AI. So it'll capture images, high resolution image from those region of interest through auto focusing, and after these images are captured automatically, it'll send them into the final differential counting AI model and perform very detailed counting using the model trained on 650,000 annotated cells. But of course, human can still go back and review these results and verify them. But we only need human intervention toward the end of the differential counting process. Before that, everything is automatic. And we generate a very nice summary report. So this is the way forward. And we believe these kind of automatic solution is important for hospitals because especially now they're overwhelmed by COVID-19 anywhere except for Taiwan in the world. So especially COVID-19 is hitting the laboratory medicine department very hard. They also have to handle the COVID-19 specimen. So with AI's help, they can free themselves from the traditional tedious manual workflow and focus more on the most challenging task, say COVID-19 right now. So we envision more applications like this going into the future, and where doctors will actually focus on more challenging tasks, and AI help them with the manual tedious task. All right, this is my last slide. Thank you very much.
谢谢云象科技的创办人叶兆元。针对刚才谈到的AI 对于医疗影像诊断方面的一些应用，那很高兴他们在目前所取得的成就，包含就是说开始有一些国外的一些合作，包含订单也已经开始进行哦。那这一块其实以目前台湾来讲，这应该只是整个智慧医疗产业其中的一个例子哦，是一个很好的例子，应该只是其中一个例子。应该还有更多的一些新创，目前也在加紧的研发他们的技术跟产品服务当中。那今天整天我们的论坛的演讲的部分就到这边结束哦。那我要在这边最后代表我们主办单位数位时代跟创业小聚，感谢各位莅临现场来参加我们的论坛，以及跟世界各地经由网络 YouTube 来现场观看的朋友们，也谢谢你们。那我想几位来宾今天都提到，就是说因为疫情的关系，所以今年全世界其实很少举行大型的这种所谓现场的活动。那特别跟创业有关的，应该在11月份，在全世界只有一场哦。但我想创业的能量，其实全世界即便只有一场，我想只要有这个活动的举行，我们都要把这样的新创的动能传递下去哦。那不管是疫情或者后疫情，我想许多的可能性其实都存在的。那经由今天的8场的分享，还有外面有553个团队的参加这一次的这个大会的活动，我们其实看到很多的这些关新创方面的努力，其实一直都在没有中断的延续下去哦。我想这也是个好消息，给我们很大的一个振奋。那我们希望经由这样的活动的举办，给到像新创的团队致意，然后同时呢，也希望就是所有关心新创的圈的这些朋友们，大家继续。不只给他们打气，同时也加油，在这条路上继续往前走得更远。好，那今天活动我们就到这边结束，谢谢大家。那也请我们接下来包含明天、后天都还有整天的会展的活动，以及有多个场次的一些演讲跟主题的这些分享。那欢迎大家再继续参加，谢谢。